You might be sitting across the table from someone right now, looking at them with a mixture of deep affection and profound frustration. You see their brilliance, their talent, and their kind heart. You see exactly who they could be if they just applied themselves, or if they just went to therapy, or if they finally processed that childhood trauma that keeps them stuck in defensive loops. You are not just dating the person in front of you, you are dating a vision of their future. You are dating a hologram. This is one of the most painful and common patterns in adult relationships, falling in love with potential rather than reality. It is an exhausting dynamic where you feel less like a partner and more like a project manager, constantly waiting for the renovation to be complete so you can finally move in and be happy. We often tell ourselves that this is simply bad luck, or that we are just incredibly patient and supportive partners. We frame it as a virtue. We say we see the best in people. And while seeing the best in someone is a beautiful quality, falling in love with a version of a person that does not yet exist is often a psychological trap. It protects us from the messiness of real intimacy while keeping us hooked on a fantasy. To understand why we do this, we have to look at the difference between authentic connection and what psychologists often call the fantasy bond. A fantasy bond is an illusion of connection that we maintain to avoid the anxiety of being truly alone or the vulnerability of being with a flawed, unpredictable human being. When you fall in love with potential, you are essentially using your partner as a blank screen. Upon this screen, you project your own unfulfilled needs, your own desires for growth, and your own idealized version of love. This is a concept known as projective identification. Sometimes, we choose partners who represent the parts of ourselves we have not yet claimed. For example, if you have suppressed your own creativity to be responsible and stable, you might find yourself drawn to a chaotic, struggling artist. You fall in love with their artistic potential because it resonates with a dormant part of you. You become their manager, their muse, and their safety net, hoping that if you can just get them to succeed, you will vicariously feel that sense of artistic fulfillment. This dynamic creates a specific and very draining loop. You are not relating to the person as they are today. You are relating to the person they promised to be, or the person you assume they want to be. You become the architect of their life. You find yourself suggesting books they should read, sending them job applications, or gently nudging them toward healthier habits. When they fail to follow through, you feel a sharp pang of resentment, followed by a wave of renewed determination to help them. You convince yourself that they just need a little more support, a little more time, or a little more love to unlock that hidden potential. One of the most difficult aspects of this pattern is that it is usually fueled by intermittent reinforcement. This is the same psychological mechanism that makes gambling addictive. Your partner is not disappointing 100% of the time. If they were, you would likely leave. Instead, they give you glimpses. There are moments, perhaps a weekend, an evening, or even just an hour, where they become exactly the person you imagined they could be. They are attentive, ambitious, and emotionally present. These glimpses are powerful. They serve as proof that your investment is working. You hold on to these moments and use them to excuse the weeks or months of behavior that contradicts them. You tell yourself that the glimpse is the real them, and the rest of the time is just an aberration caused by stress or circumstance. However, in a healthy relationship, the real person is the one who shows up consistently. If someone is kind 10% of the time and dismissive 90% of the time, the reality of the relationship is the 90%. But when you are in love with potential, you flip these statistics. You dismiss the 90% as temporary and cling to the 10% as the truth. This keeps you stuck in a cycle of waiting. You are essentially living in the waiting room of your own life, holding a ticket for a train that may never arrive. We also have to acknowledge the role of the fixer identity. For many people, particularly those who grew up in environments where they had to be the responsible ones or the emotional caretakers, loving someone for their potential feels comfortable. It feels familiar. If you were praised as a child for being helpful, for calming down a volatile parent, or for raising your siblings, you likely learned that love is something you earn through labor. You learned that your value lies in your ability to improve others or solve their problems. In this context, a partner who is finished, Someone who is already stable, consistent, and responsible might actually feel boring or even threatening to you. If there is nothing to fix, what is your role? If you aren't needed as a mentor or a savior, how do you ensure they won't leave you? Loving potential is, paradoxically, a way to stay safe from real intimacy. When you are focused on fixing someone else, you do not have to look at your own life. You do not have to face your own fears of inadequacy or your own unpursued dreams because you are too busy managing theirs. It is a very effective distraction. Furthermore, as long as the relationship is in this renovation phase, you never have to be fully vulnerable. You can maintain a position of slight superiority, the one who has it together, the one who is guiding the ship. True intimacy requires meeting as equals, which means admitting that you too are flawed and that you cannot control the outcome of another person's journey. You might recognize this pattern in the excuses you make to your friends and family. This is the public relations manager coping style. When your friends question why your partner is still unemployed or why they haven't followed through on their promises, you step in with a press release. You say, "He's just really stressed right now," or "She's going through a transition," or "You don't see the side of him that I see." You find yourself translating their behavior to the world to make it sound more acceptable. You become the buffer between their reality and the consequences of their actions. Inside, you are exhausted, but outside, you are their biggest champion. Another common everyday pattern is the feeling of being a mentor rather than a lover. You might notice that your conversations revolve almost entirely around their problems, their career, or their emotional state. You offer advice, you listen, you strategize. But when you need support, the dynamic does not reciprocate equally. Or perhaps you feel a sense of parentification, where you are reminding them of basic adult responsibilities. This kills romantic attraction. It is very hard to desire someone whom you are constantly parenting. Over time, the passion erodes, replaced by a mixture of pity and resentment. So, how do we break this spell? How do we stop investing in a stock that keeps crashing? The most powerful tool you can use is something we can call the as-is price tag. Imagine you are walking into a store. You see a beautiful jacket. It has a great cut, a wonderful color, and the fabric is high quality. But it has a large tear in the sleeve, and it is missing 3 buttons. You take it to the counter and ask if the store can fix it. They say no. You ask if it will fix itself over time. They say no. The jacket is sold as is. You have to pay the full price right now, and you have to wear it exactly as it is today. Apply this to your relationship. If your partner never changed, if they stayed exactly as employed, exactly as emotionally available, and exactly as responsible as they are today for the next 5, 10, or 20 years, would you still buy this relationship? Would you be happy? If the answer is no, then you are not in a relationship with a person. You are in a relationship with a fantasy. You are betting your life on a gamble that is not paid off. This visualization forces you to confront the reality of the present moment. It strips away the potential and leaves you with the actual data. Another practical exercise is to separate hope from evidence. Take a piece of paper and draw a line down the middle. On the left side, write hope. List all the things you believe your partner can be. They will be a great father. They will be a successful artist. They will be emotionally supportive. On the right side, write evidence. List the actual behaviors that have occurred in the last 6 months. Not what they said they would do, but what they actually did. Did they show up? Did they follow through? Did they handle conflict maturely? When you look at these two lists side by side, the discrepancy often becomes undeniable. You realize that your hope list is a work of fiction, while the evidence list is a biography. It is also crucial to challenge the myth that unconditional love means accepting unacceptable behavior. We often confuse acceptance with tolerance of dysfunction. You can accept a person's humanity. You can accept that they have struggles and flaws without accepting a relationship with them. You can love someone deeply and still recognize that they are not capable of meeting your needs. Real love is seeing a person clearly, not seeing a projection. And sometimes, seeing them clearly means realizing that their path and your path are not compatible. Moving away from potential requires grieving. You have to grieve the future you imagined. You have to grieve the version of them that existed in your mind. This is often harder than breaking up with the real person because the fantasy version was perfect. The fantasy version met all your needs, but the fantasy version had one fatal flaw. It wasn't real. When you stop dating potential, you open yourself up to something much terrifying and much more rewarding: reality. You begin to look for partners who are already doing the work. You look for track records, not just promises. You look for consistency, not just intensity. You start to value the boring, steady reliability of someone who shows up over the dazzling highs of someone who might show up one day. Ultimately, you cannot love someone into changing. Change is an inside job. It requires internal motivation, not external pressure. By letting go of your need to fix or improve them, you are actually giving them the dignity of their own journey. You are stepping back and saying, "I respect you enough to let you be who you are, and I respect myself enough to choose what is actually good for me." The next time you find yourself making an excuse for someone or clinging to a glimpse of their better self, pause. Ask yourself, am I interacting with the person in front of me or the hologram I invented? The person in front of you is showing you exactly who they are. Believe them. The potential you see is beautiful, but you cannot build a house on a foundation that doesn't exist yet. You deserve a partner who is present, real, and ready to meet you here, in the now, not in some hypothetical future that may never come.